thinking about it. All right, we are officially live. Hello, arty peoples, and welcome to another episode of Jerry's Live. My name is Emmy Klein, and I am your host this evening. And as you can see, we have a special guest today. This is Jordan Rhodes, the artist for Maimeri. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So if you guys are interested in anything that Jordan's going to be demonstrating for us tonight, make sure you go to the website jerrysartorama.com and type in today's class code, which is JL243. And then if you type that in the search bar at the top of the page, the teacher's cart should come up, and then that will show everything that he's going to be using. So I'm very excited about today's demonstration. So I will hand it off, and let's enjoy the beautiful painting you're about to do. I'm so excited.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much once again for having me. Thank you everyone online for joining. My name is Jordan Rhodes. I'm an artist based in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and today I'm going to be painting this picture of a skull for you guys. It's a picture I took myself. Basically, I have this skull model that's really useful, and I wanted like this specific lighting, so I took a picture that I can use in order to paint this picture for you guys. A little bit about my materials. The paper I'll be using is Artist Watercolor. It's cold press, 140 pounds, and it's the 9x12 block. So like the paper is bound on 4 sides, and it helps with like the warping, because whenever you use like wet media, it can tend to warp a bit. And it's 100% cotton. For the paints, I'll be using MaimeriBlu Watercolors. This is just a representation of my palette down here. For this demonstration, I'm only going to be using 6 colors: Naples yellow, burnt sienna, burnt umber, turquoise cobalt, and ultramarine deep. What else?
And just a quick note on that. We did have, you sent me the high-res image of that palette kind of swatch that you did, and we are going to post that for you guys to check out as well. But it does go in order of how you have it on your palette, correct?
Yes, it pretty much lines up. Oh, I forgot to mention one more color I'll be using is cad red light.
Nice.
Yeah. What else? Brushes. I'll be using 3 brushes, mostly this size 12 Princeton Neptune round brush, a 1/2-inch angle shader, which is just an angled flat brush, and then a smaller Princeton Neptune size 0 brush for any small details that I might want to do. So with that, I guess we can go ahead and get started with the demo. So with watercolor in general, I like to start off just wetting the paper a little bit so that the paint can spread a little bit easier. And once again, I'm just starting off with my size 12 Princeton round brush. Just gonna fill in like the silhouette of the skull here.
So you're not gonna get the entire paper wet, you're just where you want the watercolor to flow?
Yep, exactly. With
Gotcha.
watercolor, basically the pigment goes wherever there's water. So one way you can have a little bit more control is by pre-wetting the areas that you want the paint to flow to. And also I like to work in layers, slowly building up my colors rather than just jumping right into it with really concentrated pigment. So now that it's wet, I'm going to start off with some Naples yellow medium, because that's basically what I'm seeing mostly in the reference. This picture, it looks a bit dark. Um, it look from here it's a bit darker on screen, but I also have my iPad that shows it like with the actual color. Um, so just gonna go in, and with watercolor, you really want to protect the white of the paper for you want to reserve that for your highlights. So like the front of the face is really well lit, so that's gonna be either lightly tinted yellow or just the plain paper. Whereas other more opaque mediums like steak wash or oil or acrylic, you can just paint the white, paint in your whites, but with watercolor. It's a transparent medium, so you really want to plan out where your highlights and light shapes are going to go. All right, so I like this Princeton round brush because it holds a lot of water and keeps a nice point as you're working, so you don't have to lower your brush as much, and you can um still have pretty decent control. And one of the other things is with watercolor, it's important to be aware of how much water is in your brush at all times. And it's kind of off to the side of my palette. I actually have like a paper towel that I'm using to dab back and forth to adjust the amount of water that I'm using in my brush.
Yeah, it always seems that whenever I have too much water, that's when I really lose a lot of my control
Yeah,
because it
yeah,
just flows kind of everywhere.
yeah, exactly. It flows anywhere, and if it's already pre-wet, like I did, basically you pretty much it can get away from you pretty quickly. I didn't mention, but I'm actually working at an easel that's about 30, it's at about a 30-degree incline, so the paint flows downward. Um, I just like to work. I don't like working like looking straight down because after a while, it starts to get uh back and neck pain. This is a little bit more ergonomic. So um I lost my train of thought.
No, I was gonna say that is funny because I'm notorious for working flat and I hunch over.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, it's so bad. And we have to remember as artists to not destroy our
Yeah,
bodies for our art. But
exactly.
that's a very interesting way of like it if you just a slight prop to your artwork, it
Yeah,
disappears.
yeah, exactly. This is just a tabletop easel. I'm also working at a standing desk as well, because that's another thing, sitting for like long periods of time that just, that's not great on your back as well. And it's already like a pretty sedentary activity. So definitely guys gotta take care of your body.
For sure. It's amazing how just one color can give that form so much shape just with a
Uh
couple brush strokes.
yeah, that's one of the first things I like to do as well with the base layer. Also do like a value study. Basically values in the painting is like the light and dark. Um value is the uh light and dark area of the painting. So I'm defining the shadows as well as saving the highlights of the saving the white of the paper for the highlights. Um, and once this dries, I'll start to add other colors as well. But this is just a quick value map, just so I have a better idea of the direction I'm going to take the painting with future layers.
Now we had somebody asking, which yellow is that again?
This is Naples Yellow Medium. So it's all of all of the MaimeriBlu watercolors, all of them are single pigment, and this one is pretty light fast as well. It's semi opaque, but um, yeah, it's a warm yellow. It's pretty versatile, especially with skulls and skin tones. I use it a lot as well.
Oh yeah. I've definitely used that in landscapes as well.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just,
yeah. I can see how
especially
that.
with those crazy greens, just to kind of tone it down a bit, you know?
Yeah, because it's not so you got like yellow ochre, that's more of an
Mhm.
earthy yellow. Uh this one's a little bit more vibrant, but not too overwhelming. It's a pretty easy color to work with. Um so I want to give that a second to dry. Um I can either I'd have a hair dryer. I don't know if that's gonna be too loud for the live stream.
Um, I think we can test it. We did
Let's
not
all
actually
right, let's
test this. I'm sorry,
test
guys.
this. Yeah, I should. Real quick. Uh if not, I can just work in the background, but let me know if it's too loud.
Give it a try.
It's too loud. I can turn down my mic.
It's what's funny is I think our microphone is like toning it down on purpose. So like I can't really hear it. If you guys, if this is too loud, let us know in the comments.
Yes. It's
A
okay.
little, right? Now, and that's the reason why you're doing that is just so that kind of that layer gets set in and it doesn't move as much as.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep, exactly. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Now, somebody was asking, what did you sketch the skull with?
The skull is just graphite pencil. Actually, I with my watercolor paper, I don't like to draw directly on the page because I don't want to erase and ruin the texture. So I actually sketch it on a separate piece of paper, and then I'll like shade on the back of it with graphite, and then just put it on top of my paper and trace over just to get a clean transfer instead of that way you preserve like the texture of the delicate watercolor paper while getting a nice clean sketch to start off with. But yeah, it's just graphite pencil. This is just a HB, .5 mechanical pencil. I was gonna say something before. It'll come back to me.
No, what's funny is when you turn on the hair dryer, all of the volume stopped. There was
Oh, really?
no sound at all. That's bizarre. I guess it must be something with the
It's
live
probably,
stream.
yeah, that's interesting. Um,
But I'm glad we didn't blow everybody's ears out. So
yeah.
glad.
This is still a little damp, but I don't want to take too long on the the hair dryer, so I'm gonna actually work on the background, put like a background layer
So what
quickly.
colors are you mixing together there?
Oh yeah, sorry. So I just mixed burnt umber and turquoise cobalt. Basically, in the reference, it's like almost like a greenish color, and this will give me like it gives like a really muted like grayish green. Basically, I just want like a gray to work with that I can shift back and forth depending on um depending on like the area that I'm working on. So one of my favorite things about watercolor is just like carving out the silhouette using the background color. Um, oh, and I also switched over to this 1/2 inch angle shader. This holds a little less water than the brush that I was using before. Less water equals more control. So like when you're painting with watercolor, when you sorry, whenever I'm doing anything precise, like I kind of stop talking. But
Yeah, it's hard to paint and talk.
but
Difficult.
what was I saying? When with watercolor, when you have less water in the brush, you have more control over where the paint goes. Um, so it's a balance. It's always a balancing act. Um, but yeah, I like to carve out the silhouette of the skull using the background. It's a nice way to get like clean edges.
Now, do you always do this kind of early on in the artwork?
No, it depends. The earlier you do it, it actually helps because um it can help you adjust your values as you go. Because say I went a long time before doing this and the values look fine, but as soon as I put a dark value for the background and all the colors I have down will look like lighter, right? Because color is contextual. So if you have if you have like light color next to a light color, it'll look darker. But like soon as you put down like this darker background, now all of these colors are gonna look lighter if that makes any sense.
Oh, it
Um,
definitely does. It's
but
all relative.
yeah, exactly. Um, but do I do this? I do like to wait a little bit later just because if I, overpaint, like if I paint outside of the lines, I can come in and like cover it up with the background. But like the background can also serve as like an, er- an eraser in a sense. Like you can correct your mistakes, uh, any mistakes that, say you go outside of the lines, you can use the background to kind of cover that up if that.
I definitely do that all of the time.
And also, I'm just giving this base layer a chance to dry as well. If I wasn't live and wasn't like time constraint, I would have, just made sure it's completely dry with the hair dryer. But sometimes you just have to kind of work around, uh, work on different areas as the one you want to work on is while you're waiting for that area to dry, you can just work
Mhm.
on something else.
See, me, I usually work on snacks. Like,
Yeah,
okay, this is drying, time for a snack.
yeah, snack. Yeah, for sure, snack break. I'm gonna add a bit of just to mix it up, add a bit of ultramarine deep and burnt umber. That actually makes a nice, almost black color. So if you guys ever wanted to mix like your own black rather than using black straight out of the tube, ultramarine and burnt umber can get you pretty close. And it's also nice because it gives you like different color variations that are a bit more interesting to look at um, than just plain black.
Yeah, no, I'm notorious for not having black on my palette. I like to mix my own just because you can definitely change how warm or cool it is,
Yeah,
depending on where
exactly.
you're working. Yeah.
Yeah, it gives you like a richer, when you mix it yourself with like different colors, it gives you like a richer black. Like I actually recently started getting into black, but more so with gouache paintings. But that's just to I mix it into other colors like to darken them because gouache is a bit tough to get really dark. It always has a bit of a hazy look. I don't know if hazy is the right word, but um,
I feel like it depends on the brand, of course, but like, yeah, that almost like chalkiness kind of.
yeah, chocolate. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I know cheaper brands definitely it's much more apparent in like more more of the budget slash
Mhm.
um student grade paints. But all right, this should be dry soon.
Now, I did have someone ask, was it burnt umber and ultramarine or burnt sienna and ultramarine?
Yeah, burnt umber and ultramarine. It gives you a nice. Although burnt sienna that works as well. That gives you a nice You can get a pretty dark color with that, but it also gives you like nice grays if you want
Mhm.
like a nice gray that you can adjust the ratio of burnt sienna to make it more warm and then add more ultramarine to make it a bit more cool. Um, Burnt sienna is one of my favorite colors.
Mine
I, yeah, it's a great color, especially for skin tones and
too. Mhm.
backgrounds. I can see it being it's a really versatile color. So I'm mixing up actually some burnt sienna now with some of that Naples yellow medium, and I just want to start defining like this cast shadow. The light, I had the lamp coming in from this way, so it's like a strong highlight, and then it's like casting a bit of a shadow. Uh, and once again, I'm just using this, still using that same angled shader brush. Um,
Yeah, it feels almost like you're like chiseling out the form. It's so satisfying to watch.
yeah, thank you. But yeah, that's how I kind of think of it, like almost like kind of sculpting a little bit. Um, for me, it's just helpful to think of it in terms of like shape shapes the color and using like flat edge brushes really help me to kind of distill the information down into a shape that I can achieve with like a flat brush. Um, I don't know if that makes any sense. uh, it just gives me more control and it's just really fun to use. Somebody revving their motorcycle outside.
That happens.
Um, but yeah, so this paint that I'm putting down now is a bit more it's more concentrated than that first layer that the first layer that went down. And basically I like to work in layers and progressively build up the concentration of the paint as more layers are added.
Now, I almost missed this question, but Leah was asking, how do you use transparent and opaque colors together? Do you worry about muddying your colors when you use opaque pigments?
That's a good question. Or do I worry about muddying my colors? Um, hmm. Well, when a lot of my mixture, um, with watercolor specifically, I try not to mix like more than three colors at once, unless I want like a sort of like gray. But another way that kind of helps with like not muddying is if you like, I like to build up a layer, like let it completely dry and then glaze over it. So you get like, instead of like all the paint mixing together, you get kind of like a stained glass effect. Like say you like if you have red and then blue on top, you'll get like the optical mix rather than like actually mixing it while it's still wet. That kind of helps with the muddiness. Does that make sense?
It does. I definitely do the same thing where I try to keep in mind like the color that's already down. And it's
Yeah,
more for like when it comes to muddying colors, I think of it more like what color interacts with which color instead of like the transparency kind of a thing,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Um, where like if I mix red and green together because they're opposite on the color wheel, I know that they're gonna make mud,
yeah.
you know?
Sometimes you want mud though.
It's true. I
Sometimes
make a
mud is
lot of
good,
mud.
especially with gouache. Gouache is great with mud. You just put down some mud and then carve something out of it. Basically, watercolor is a lot tougher to do that because uh you can't just um it's a transparent medium, so
Mhm.
you don't have as much. It's not as forgiving. But with yeah, I don't know. I like the mud can be nice.
What's mud is found in like whenever you're painting naturalistic, it makes so much sense to make mud because you don't get those pure colors in nature most of the time.
Yeah,
I mean, there are definitely situations where you do get them like a bright red flower or something, but
yeah,
like tree bark, not brown. It's a funky gray.
yeah. So we're and it's a bunch of different like different shades. It's not like one uniform color either. It's like a lot of colors like put together. Um, what can I say? So right now I'm mostly working with uh still burnt sienna, burnt umber. Not sorry, no burnt umber yet. Mostly just burnt sienna and Naples yellow medium. And I'm just slowly um darkening certain areas while still mapping out my highlights. Um, soon I want to get some like color variation going, so it's not just um, different shades of like yellow, basically.
So you're gonna be pulling in the cooler colors, right?
Yep. So I'm thinking maybe I want to have like the shadows, like the backside of the skull and shadow. I want that to be like a more of a more of a cooler color. I might even have like some of this kind of that grayish green that I mixed earlier.
Mhm.
That that probably will fit well there. Um, uh,
Which is going to be interesting because you have such a warm color already down. So to watch you like cool that
yeah,
off is going to be super, it's going to be like magic. I'm excited.
we'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
Now,
Hopefully
now
I can
Ralph
pull.
was asking, do you prefer like the angle brush over the others?
For control, yes. Like the angle brush gives me a bit more control. Um, sorry, this I'm just putting down some. I want a bit of a warmer red, like this. There's a bit of a like subsurface scattering here behind like the orbital bone. I don't know if it's picking up in like the
Hmm.
image, but I just want to kind of make sure that's in there. But sorry, what was the question again? I didn't mean to.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Do you prefer the angle brush over the others?
Yeah, yes, the um it depends on the situation. So I like the angle brush for when I want control and when I want to like chisel out shapes. But like this brush is good for blending, like it's good for blending, it's good for wet in the wet washes, it's good for covering larger areas.
Now, when it comes to like the edges of your colors coming together, because like with the angle brush, like I can see the brush strokes there where they end kind of abruptly.
Yeah,
I mean, my eye it doesn't bother me or anything. Do you go back in with that round brush and kind of blend those out and soften it, or do you leave those as is?
it depends. So personally, that's like for me, it's a bit of a stylistic choice. Like I like the hard edges
Hmm.
in my artwork. But yeah, I do. You know, it's a delicate mix. Like I like sometimes I like that unblended chisel look, but also this um I will sometimes go in and actually blend them out as well. And also like it's going um if I layer on top of it and it's a bit more of a wet wash, that will actually kind of dissolve some of those hard edges as well. If that's something I wanted to do, but um I
Now,
lost my
how do you decide on which edges to like obliterate and which ones to keep? 'Cause I
um
always find that such an interesting thing to watch somebody do.
that's a good question. I hate to use like the cop out answer like it's intuitive or whatever. It's kind of let me think. I want to give a better answer than like
What's funny is like I always hear it kind of put almost the same way is that whenever you're painting and you see a hard edge that you just don't like and it just kind
yeah,
of irks you a little bit, that's the one you
yeah,
take out.
yeah, exactly. Um, I want to get some of that cooler coloring now, so it's
Hmm.
basically it was just that same mixture of cobalt turquoise and burnt umber. And I want to I'm just gonna glaze it like actually probably a little more than that. And this time it's gonna be a little bit heavier on the turquoise side, so it gives you more like that greenish color. So it looks kind of it's scary going down, but hopefully when it dries, hopefully when it dries it'll look okay. Um, it's a bit of a core shadow where like the um where like the cool um sorry I'm thinking where the cool backside of the skull kind of mixes with the where the cool backside of the skull meets with the lip part in the front. Um, so I want to make sure I include that. This is one of the things about watercolor. Like there is an element of control, but there's like also a lot of spontaneity, and in the moment it can be like, oh, I think I just messed up. But so usually when it dries, it's like, it's not too bad.
Do you find a lot of color shift happens whenever it's between the wet and dry?
A lot of color shift between the wet and dry. Um. Oh yeah, yeah, yes. It depends a lot on the specific pigment. Like some pigments definitely shift a lot more than others, and it also depends on how concentrated the pigment was when you first kind of put it down. Like um, if it's um, if it's more concentrated when you're putting it down, it's going to be a bit less of a color shift than if it's like really dilute. If that makes sense.
It does.
And here it's kind of hard to see. Well, I have like a bucket off to the side, but like one side will have kind of a hard edge, and then I'll go in dilute my brush with some water and then kind of blend out the other side.
Hmm.
But I don't want it to, that might be too hard of an edge. So you can come in with just like water and kind of soften that edge while it's still wet. The only thing with that though, it might have kind of completely erased the edge because since I put it on top, the gravity made the paint go down. So I actually probably should have just left that alone, soften the edge with like another layer on top. The other thing about 100% cotton paper though, you can really, to a certain extent, like go in and scrub and lift out. You can lift up the paint pigment to a certain extent. It's more of it's a durable paper. Like if you try to do that with cheaper paper, it'll start to like come apart and dissolve a little bit. It's not, it just gives like a, I
Yeah,
don't know.
they tend to pill a little bit.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, yeah.
When you scrub at them, they pick
Yes.
apart. Which I mean, it's great for studies and like
Yeah.
quick little, like when you're trying to figure out your colors, you know.
Yeah,
But yeah,
exactly.
I will say it's definitely incredible to have a quality paper when you're working on something and you really feel the difference.
Oh, it's def I would say with watercolor, like the type of paper you use probably makes the most immediate difference. Like you really notice it's a bigger difference using not great paper to great paper than it is versus like paints and brushes. Like you can get away with okay paints and okay brushes, but like the paper uh that'll give you like the biggest jump, I'd say. Um so it's coming along. It's important to step back, see your painting from a bit further back just to kind of.
Now, we did have a couple of people talking about how you're working at an angle, and how interesting it is. Like, it seems kind of tricky to work at a 30-degree angle, but
Yeah.
how long did it take you to kind of get used to that? Like, is it just something you've always done?
Yeah, it's something I always done. So that's yeah, I get like because I started off just drawing at my table and I didn't really want to like I already had like the art easel
Hmm.
by the time I started painting with watercolor. So I just kind of naturally started painting at an angle as well. Um with watercolor it's definitely tricky because you're using a bit more water, so you have to kind of plan a bit better, knowing that your paint is going to flow downwards. Um, but I'm pretty used to it. Um, with gouache, it's not. I keep mentioning gouache because that's like the main. That's probably like the my watercolor and gouache are like my two favorite mediums to use. Um, but that one's you don't have you can use it more opaque with less water, so it's not as much of an issue as it is with watercolor.
It's definitely a fun medium, and that's you use Maimeri for both, right?
Yes, yep. They make both watercolor and gouache. Um, they're both really good. Are both good artist grade paints. Um, artist grade just tends to mean that you'll have like you'll have like cuts single pigment colors rather than like a bunch of mixtures.
Now,
All of them. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say the Maimeri, are they all single pigment colors or?
I believe so. Yeah, most of the all of them are single pigment. So basically, it's probably gonna be too hard to see, but um, basically on your paint tube, it'll tell you like what pigment is in.
Yeah. Now, that's for anybody who is watching and curious about that pigment, because you're not going to be able to turn the tube on our website. You can always click on our tech notes button, which is the one yellow button on the same line item that is, it looks like a page that's starting to turn down. Now the pigment will actually be listed in that section of the notes, so that way you can check out what each one has.
Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of the way a lot of like budget brands, they'll mix a bunch of pigments to achieve certain colors.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when you have single pigment colors, you can actually just mix what you want yourself, and you have greater control over what's in your paint. You're less likely. It's hard. Well, you're not less like. I was gonna say you're less likely to make mud, but unless you know you, it's easier to make mud when you don't know. Like if you have a paint with like three different pigments in it already versus.
That is so true. You do get much cleaner color mixing,
Yeah, exactly.
especially as a beginner when you
Yeah.
only have a single pigment in there.
Although I'm not gonna lie, those convenience colors are definitely convenient.
Yes, no, I do love me some mixed colors. But I mean that's one of those things that if you find you're mixing that same color over and over and over in your palette, you might as well either mix it from those single pigments or, buy the tube that has that color.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're like, say you're like mixing, you're using a lot of your good colors to mix up like cheap, like say you're using like a lot of cadmium cad reds and mixing them like with different like desaturating them and try to make like burnt sienna. Cad red's like an expensive color,
Hmm.
but and you're mixing it into like a cheap color where as you can just buy the cheap color. um I'm just going in with that dark blue mixture just to clean up some of the silhouette. Um, further clean up the silhouette of the skull here.
And the mixture you're using, is that the ultramarine? I'm guessing ultramarine deep and something else.
Yeah, ultramarine deep and burnt umber. It gives
Gotcha.
you that near black color. You can Yeah, it gives you a pretty really dark color. It's nice. I actually kind of painted over like I wanted to have it a bit sharper, and I kind of painted over it. And that's the thing, like you can't really get it back with watercolor like you I was talking I was
Like you can
talking
with gouache.
yeah.
Yep.
Once you paint over the white, like I mean I could try to go in this scrub, but then it's gonna it's easier to get like a nice clean line if you get it right on the first go, but I was like talking and not not paying attention.
Well, you know what I always tell everybody that watches, if you don't get it exactly as you wanted it to be, who's gonna know?
Yeah, unless you
No
say
one's gonna
something
know.
like I did. But nobody else is gonna know.
I mean, but then again, at the same time, I also like there's a video evidence of me painting, and I'm like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. But nobody who just looks at the artwork is going to know at all that you didn't mean to paint that little section of the skull.
Yeah. Sometimes it's fun to point out too, just so you know, it's like art, it's people make mistakes and stuff.
Hmm.
It's just fun and to have it's not precious, You can't be too scared to make a mistake that you don't pick up your paintbrush.
Very true. Now, we did have somebody asking the photo you're painting from, if there's any way that we can post that.
Uh yeah, I can send it to you if
Yeah.
you like.
So
Yeah.
if you send that nice photo to me in high res form, I will make sure to post it for everybody on our Facebook group for Jerry's Live. So if you are on Facebook, go to the page Jerry's Live group, and then I will make sure to post that as well, which of course is free for anybody to join as well. All you have to do is make sure you do answer that one security question, because otherwise you are deemed a robot and I am not allowed to let you in, unfortunately. But I'll make sure to post it there so that way you guys can check it out and possibly paint a skull of your own, which if you do, make sure you tag today's class code, which is JL243 with a hashtag. So that way we can find it. And then I can send it to Jordan.
So
Yeah. Now everybody is also sitting there watching, going, "Oh, love your precision brushwork!" Like, so satisfying to watch. It's so
thank you.
cool.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's weird. It's like it's kind of like I don't know if you drive and sometimes you like your mind. I mean, obviously you're paying attention to the road, but sometimes your mind like wanders and like you end up at your destination, even though like you're like 15 minutes going by and you just
Hmm.
I don't know,
I know
it's
exactly what
kind of
you're talking about. You zone out.
yeah, kind
Totally
of
zone
zone out.
out. Yep.
It's kind of the same with painting at least. It's definitely not the same with drawing for me. Drawing I have to uh at least the initial stages I have to kind of focus. But if it's like rendering or anything, it's much easier to go into like autopilot.
Very true.
That cool area kind of it came out okay, I think.
I do love the variation of the orangey green kind of coming in and out. It's very satisfying.
um let's see. I haven't been keeping track of time, so I don't know where
We are about 10 minutes left in the show.
okay.
I
10
mean,
minutes. I can do like some of these like the cracks in the skull, just for like more um to better define those a little bit.
mhm.
Um,
No, we did have somebody also ask, where did you get your skull from that you took the photo of?
yeah, this is just from Amazon. It was actually like it's like a study tool for like biology class or something like that. But
How cool.
yeah, it was just because it's like a puzzle. It actually like it comes apart.
Oh,
Like it
did
comes
not
apart.
realize that.
Yeah, it comes
Oh,
apart.
wow. That's kind of cool. And I feel like you can get so many more photo references for that.
Yeah, and I, I mean at the time I bought it, I think it was like $20,
That's not
maybe.
bad.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. If you want, I mean, I can send you the link to maybe post, and if people were interested as well. But
Yes, please.
um, yeah, it's a nice skull. I like it. I think skulls are nice because if you're into portraits, knowing painting from the skull really helps you to understand why certain features on your face are the way they are. That makes sense. Like
Hmm.
it can help you get like the placement understand like the placement of certain features on the face a little bit better.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and also they're a bit easier because it's a bit more forgiving. Like with portraits, you really have to people can really know like if your face is off. Like if your eye is too, if you paint an eye and it's like too far to the left, like people just, it jumps out at people. It instantly
Hmm.
is apparent, but with the skull, you have a bit more leeway because you know you don't see skulls every day, whereas you see people's faces pretty much every day. Maybe not now in like COVID times, but
That is the sad truth. But I definitely, we as just in general, I know a lot of people just are so used to seeing faces in just everyday objects and things. So, I mean, we're so familiar with what faces look like. So yeah, you're so right that if you place an eye just slightly off, just even one, not
yeah.
both of them, just the one. Because I actually had the last issue I've had with a portrait was I her eyes didn't line up, and I didn't notice it until I got home. And it's
Oh,
the smallest slight shift, and it was one of those things that you notice it, and I could not place why it wasn't working until I figured that out.
yeah, that's tough. And one thing that helps if you have like a mirror out,
Hmm.
if like a lot of digital artists, they'll like flip the canvas back and forth. That's kind of like that's like the way of doing it. Just have a mirror and it just kind of look, and it kind of helps flip it back and forth. Give a different perspective on it. And it can help those like those type of errors really stand out. Because yeah, I know the feeling. It's like something's just not right about this. Something's
Hmm.
off, and it's usually more likely than not. It's usually the eyes.
Nine times out of 10. Now, I did have somebody ask, what is the best way to mix like that creamy white color that you have there in the top left-hand side of the skull?
The creamy white cup here.
Yeah.
Uh, that was just Naples yellow, but just really dilute. It was just uh Nap Naples yellow with just a lot of water. It was actually that was actually the base layer I put down. I didn't actually go back over it again. Um,
Nice. It
uh,
is so soft and like subtle right there. It looks
yeah,
so
here.
incredible.
Thank you. Um, sometimes so wet and the wet mixtures can give you sort of that what am I trying to say? It gives you like that not ghost. I'm trying to I can't think of a good way to describe it.
Like that soft blend transition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so yeah, I'm just adding pops of little details here and there. One thing I like adding like a really saturated outline, but not not everywhere, just certain pops just to kind of help the silhouette stand out in certain places, but it's not something you want to just go too crazy overboard. It kind of mimics like I think it's chromatic aberration basically with lenses. If you see like a picture and it has kind of like that red and blue outline to it. I don't know if what I'm saying is making any sense.
No, that actually makes perfect sense. I did not know that there was a name for it.
Yeah, it's basically
So cool.
with like lenses. Lenses aren't perfect, right? Some they don't all at certain parts of the lens it doesn't converge all the light, so you have certain shifts. Like one side of the area would be one side will be blue and the other side will be red.
Oh, I gotcha.
And also that red looks nice against the green. It's kind of like complementary
Mm-hmm. Pop.
compliment. Yeah, it's just little things that kind of you don't see it in the reference, but you can just put them in to help your painting stand out a little bit more. Um, Want to add a bit more saturation to like in this area. It's basically in the picture, it's a bit more saturated.
Mm-hmm.
That's like inside the skull. You're seeing like the other side of the jaw.
Oh, that
If
is
that
the other
makes
side of
sense.
the jaw, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's it. It's one of those things that like if I were to have that reference photo, I would have never known that
Oh, really?
because you have the skull and you can physically move it around. I feel like
Yeah, yeah,
that's
for
so
sure.
interesting. I
Yeah,
definitely need to get
exactly.
one of those skulls.
Yeah, it's like
I also definitely need to get some of these Maimeris. The colors that you're using are just going down so beautifully.
thank you. Yeah, there are. Yeah, I like them there. That's one of the things. Like when you have, you know, high quality paints, like they like they like dance around on a page a little bit, if that makes sense. Like you can get
Mhm.
like over here, you have some granulation, so it gives you like a little bit of texture. Um, and also, yeah, like by since there's single pigment, you know, at most it's maybe two or three colors mixed together, but anymore, that's when you start to get like that muddy look,
Mhm.
you know. One thing I actually didn't touch the teeth yet. For the teeth, I'm just gonna this they're kind of like a grayish color, so I'm just gonna dilute that black color I mixed. Uh, just gonna dilute that a whole bunch and use that as like the teeth color and basically carve out the highlight shapes. Just don't paint over them. Um, yeah, live watercolor is just inferring the detail rather than going in and just uh, painting every single little thing.
Mhm. No, I did have another question pop up here. This is probably going to be one of our last questions. So if you guys do have questions, make sure to pop them in the chat. Even after we finish going live, we always make sure to keep an eye on that and, answer you guys as the questions come in. We also will make sure that this is uploaded to YouTube within 24 hours of us finishing the show. And that way you guys can watch it over there as well. If you have any questions on that side, put them in the chat. We will absolutely make sure to keep an eye on that as well. But probably one of the last questions that we got here, what are the Maimeri, how staining are those as far as, because they are a single pigment, but how much do they stain the paper as far as trying to get them to lift back off?
Um, Certain colors are more staining than others. In general, they're pretty, pretty staining. But I would say some of the most staining ones, at least some of my favorite, this green. One of my favorite mixtures is actually this green and this. It's called Cooper green oxide, and then another one, permanent matter deep. And they make like a really nice deep staining black. Even this black that I made from ultramarine permanent and um burnt umber, that's a really nice deep staining pigment as well. Some of the colors that lift like I would say that Naples yellow medium, that's the color that you can lift.
Nice.
Yeah, it's kind of pigment specific, I would say.
That makes
But
total sense.
yeah.
Now we are
Um,
also just about out of time. So
okay.
I just want to keep watching you paint.
Thank you. Um, yeah, I'm pretty happy with it for an hour. That's not, you
Yeah.
know.
Now I gotta make you pull in that other one that you did because I before we started the show, I definitely saw the one that you did before, and it's interesting how painting the same thing over and over again, you get different results.
Yeah,
I
so this
wanted to
was,
show that.
I did a quick practice before the show just to make sure I could complete it in an hour.
Hmm.
So this was the first one. This one I left a bit more of the like the hard edges and didn't blend as much.
Hmm.
And I like the background on this one better. It's like a bit more like abstract and more of like a more of a vignette kind of.
Hmm.
This one was cool. I like the
So wonderful, like just to see them side by side, and it's you painted the same thing, same colors, just different results, and I think that's fantastic to see.
yeah, that's the thing about yeah, watercolor because like a lot of it is just you just tell the paint you put the water in the spot and it just kind of has a mind of its own.
Hmm.
This is also the same one, but it's washed.
Oh wow,
So
that's
yeah,
amazing. Still,
it's washed.
again, so different results, and it's
Yeah.
so fun to see. Now, also make sure that you let us know how to get in touch with you as an artist, all of your
Um.
social media handles.
Yeah. So I'm on uh mainly Instagram and YouTube as JMR Art, JMR underscore art. It's in like the I think the bottom is green if it's
Yeah, I see that.
yeah yeah this JMR art pretty much anywhere. Yeah, I mostly do like time lapse videos and painting with gouache and watercolor. It's just a good time.
Awesome. Well, let me switch over to this view here and we can sign off, guys. So make sure you go check out his artwork as well. Jordan, thank you so much for being here and during this demonstration. It was so satisfying to watch you paint.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. Thanks everybody for joining
Yeah,
and
definitely. Definitely. We'll have to have you back on. So everybody, that was the show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And make sure you go check out our teacher's cart again at jerrysartorama.com and type in today's class code, which is hashtag, or I'm sorry, the class code is JL243. And if you type that in the search bar, then our teacher's cart should come up and show you all the amazing watercolors that Jordan used today. Now, also make sure you join me next week because we are going to be doing a mixed media show. I'm very excited. It's probably going to make me into a big old mess, but I'm so excited to do this. So we will hopefully see you guys next time. Bye.
later.
Maybe.